on booth 201. This is a little bit more advanced than our original 101 class. If you have not seen the 101, you may want to go back and watch that. It's available on YouTube, so you can take a look at that and see a little bit more of the basics. But this one will be focusing on social media, integration, things like Facebook, email, etc., and then also on Phidget, sound, and video support. So we'll kind of cover all of those topics. To begin with, if you look at your screen, you'll see the opening settings screen in Darkroom booth. And let's start with Facebook. So I have created a generic screen that we're going to use for this particular purpose and an event. And to start with, there's two different ways that you can post images to Facebook, depending on your needs, or you can do both. One of them is posting to a specific page that you have access rights to, page that you put in your username and password. It could be your own business page. It could be a page that your customer has set up for that event. You know, like for instance, a wedding couple might set up a specific Facebook page just for their wedding that they could drive customers to. But it's a page that you have access rights to. And with those access rights, you'll be able to select a specific gallery or just post the images to the timeline or put them in a certain album or something like that as well. To begin with, you'll go to the global settings and you'll choose email and social media, and you'll set up your Facebook account. So in that particular sense, the way that works is you'll click Add Account, you'll choose Facebook, and then it will add a new you know, we've already got one set up here, a test account, but it'll add a new line here for Facebook, and then it'll, first of all, it'll say authorization needed, just like the one above. So you'll double click on it, and it will go to Facebook, and you'll put in your username and password. And then there's also a checkbox to keep logged in. You'll want to be sure and check that one, otherwise you'll have to do it every time. So you just add your username and password, and that authorizes you for the specific account. We have a test account set up here that we'll use for this purpose. Now let's go back to the settings page and then to finish the setup for Facebook. So we'll click Post to Facebook. We've already got the account set up. You could type in a specific, you know, message that's going to go with your upload post. If you want to put something in there, you know, thank you for, you know, using our photo booth or something like that. So you put in a specific message that will go with it in the caption. Then you can also choose here whether you're going to post to a timeline, album, event, etc. Now let's say you choose album. Now when you choose this, it'll give you an option to refresh, and at that point you can choose an album that is part of that account. So when you have your account set up, you can, and authorized, you can choose the account you want it to upload to. If you click View Album, it will take you to Facebook, where you can view that on Facebook and see how it's looking. All right, then you look down here and you'll be able to see the size that you want to upload. Now for Facebook uploading, you probably don't want to do full size because that'll be a really big file. You want those to upload, you know, pretty quickly and also be visible, you know, on somebody's phone or something instead of really large. So medium size is probably a good option, or even preview size, depending on how you want to do that. Then you can also choose a specific border that you want to use. If you leave that space blank, then that will use the default border that you have set up for printing. So whatever template border, those words are interchangeable, but whatever template you have set up for printing would be used if you left that blank. But you can create a specific one and just click Choose and pick that one that you want to use. And when you pick a specific one, then it will use that one for your Facebook uploads. That's a great option to be able to upload a different arrangement. Let's say you're doing a 4-photo strip or a 3-photo strip in a 2x6 size. Well, for Facebook, you could do it in a square size or something like that that's more Facebook friendly. So you could use a different template. You can also put a watermark across it. A watermark, in the photographer sense, there's a lot of confusion over watermarks. A watermark is not your logo in the bottom right corner. You would do that in the template if you wanted to have your logo in the bottom right corner. A watermark is more commonly things like proof tiled across the image, so someone is not going to steal it. If they do steal it, then it's obvious to everybody that looks at it that, hey, they didn't pay for that. They got that because it's got proof written across it. So that's what a watermark is. There is a possibility of creating a custom watermark if you wanted to. It's a black and white image that's tiled across there. So if you want to put your logo in the bottom right corner, you would create that in the template that you're going to upload. Okay, that will all happen in the background when you have a Facebook set up this way. It just happens in the background. You could put out some sort of a documentation or sign or something for the people to go to this particular Facebook page, and you can see your photos there, and they can download them from there if you wanted to do that. But that happens in the background. It doesn't take any extra time for the user in the booth. The second way you can post to Facebook is by checking this box right here, User Post to Facebook. Now, when you check User Post to Facebook, it doesn't require any other setup, but what it does do is during the session, at the end of the session, it prompts the user and gives them an opportunity to click on a Facebook icon. So at the end of the session, they would have a Facebook icon that they could click on, and it would ask them for their username and password to post it to their own Facebook page. So that's the big difference between the two. One, the first one is posting to a Facebook page that you have authorization rights. The other one is to let the individual user post it to their own Facebook page. And that's up to you. That is something that they would do in the booth, type in their username and password. A lot of controversy over whether that's a good idea, bad idea, because some people get in there and stay forever. They can't remember their Facebook password or something. That's a personal decision on you and your workflow in your particular booth. But it is a popular request to be able to do that. So you can do that within the booth. You can also do photo email and posting to phone, like a text message. So we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But that's how the two ways you can upload to Facebook. Now then, let's talk a little bit about photo email. Photo email has been around since version 1. It's not a new feature, but it does give you a lot of options and abilities that have advantages over Facebook uploading. Due to privacy restrictions, we can't store someone's Facebook information if they upload to their own Facebook page. You also can't upload to Facebook directly if you don't have an active internet connection. So to be able to do that, Facebook doesn't let us store that and do it later. We have to do it when it's actual live. So you have to have a live internet connection. Email is different in that email can be queued up for later sending. So if you're at an event and you don't have internet available, you can still let them do photo email. Just let them know that they won't get their email till later in the evening or tomorrow or something. The way that works is Darkroom just queues those emails. You don't even really know what's happening. They store it and wait. And then once you do have internet, you get back to your office or something, you turn on the computer, you fire it back up, start Darkroom, the emails will just start going out on their own without any sort of intervention or anything, as long as Darkroom booth is running. So you can just do that. Now you can also, by pressing F11 on your keyboard, you can go and view the queue to see everything that's waiting. So for your emails, if you want to check to see if they're going out, you can just press F11 on your keyboard, or you can go to the Prints tab, choose Print, show Print Queue. You don't have a keyboard available. And in the Print Queue, you'll see a list of all your emails going out. And you can actually watch them go out and see when they're all done and when they're sending. It's also a great troubleshooting tool if you're having problems with your emails not going out. You can go to the queue and see if there's any error messages. If it says waiting on email, that's probably no internet connection available. But if it says error, can't connect to server or rejected by the server, that's probably something that's set wrong in your settings. So the email server you're using is rejecting your email. So that gives you a clue as to why they're not going out. But that's a great tool is to go to the print queue and see there as well. The way the print queue works is each job, each thing that you're sending out is registered as a page. So if you're doing photo email, Facebook upload, and a paper print, it's going to say, 3 pages printed or 2 pages printed, 1 page waiting, depending on how things are going. So that's also what that page means. All right, let's go back to the main screen. And in the settings tab, we've talked about photo email. The way you set that up is you go here to the social media section again, add account, choose new email account. You can have multiple email accounts. So if you have one job that wants the email to come from their particular email server, for example, a corporate client, they want the emails to come from their own server, you can have one set up specifically for them, and then you can also have one set up that you just have from your own server to use generically. So you can have multiple email accounts that you're sending from. I've got one already set up here, and Darkroom test, I haven't put in all the information that you just put in. The sender name is your name, and then of course the email address and password is from your account. The description is what Darkroom uses to reference it, so that's something you create on your own. The rest of the information will depend on your particular provider, whatever company it is. There's more information about providers and their advantages and disadvantages on our boothmanual.com that you can take a look at, and see what those various restrictions and things are. Okay, back to the settings page. When you get ready to set up your photo email, you can click here, choose the account you're going to send with. If you only have one email account, it will default to that. If you have others, you can choose. And that setting is based on the event, so you can pre-set up an event for a corporate client to use this email address and an event for a wedding client to use that email address. When you change the different events over here, it will automatically change this as well. So that's by event. The next option, well, over here on the right, you can choose message, and you can put in whatever message you want, and you can also use HTML to make those very fancy. You can include graphics and things like that, or even hyperlinks to your own website, or you can just do plain text. But that's the message that the person would receive in the email with the photo as an attachment. Okay, now here, if you wanted to prompt the person for their email address, you'll just select prompt. So that way, at the when they do the session, it will prompt them, do you want to email this to yourself? They can type in their email address at that point. If you want to send it to a static email address, a specific email address that's going to go to every time, then you can just type it in. So if you type in that email address, then every time you do a session, it will just in the background without the user even knowing it, be sent to that email address from there. So you can choose how it's going to go. You can also line carbon copy if you wanted to. Keep in mind that's 2 emails every time it's going out. So if you're using a service that has a restriction on the number of emails you can send, a lot of the free services like Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, etc., those all have restrictions on the number of emails you can send in a day. So keep that in mind, that if you use one of those, that's double the emails if you're using line carbon copy. The next option there, just like Facebook, is let you choose the size you want to send. Excuse me. You can choose small, medium, large, or custom size. Keep in mind the larger the file size, the bigger the email sent, and the more bandwidth, and slower. So keep those things in mind as well. You can also add a different border template as well for the email that's going out. Customize that. If you want your logo on it, you can use a separate template so that it's not printing, but it's coming out on the one that's emailed as well. So you can do all of those. All those same options are available to email. There are actually 2 photo email spots, so you can have one for prompting and one for sending to a static email address. And so that is why there's 2 options there, so you can choose those things if you want. The next one we're going to talk about is photo to phone. That's text messaging. There are 2 possibilities for text messaging within Darkroom Booth. One of them is a paid service, and one of them is a free service. Excuse me. We'll talk first of all about the paid service. That's Twilio. Twilio is a company that provides a service. It provides you with a phone number. It's a paid service. You have to purchase a phone number, and you purchase the service, and then the text messages come from a phone number. This allows the emails to go, or the text messages to go out directly to the user. The difference between doing it with Twilio versus the second way we'll talk about in just a minute would be the way they see it, the way it comes to them. With Twilio, it comes to them as a text message from a phone, just like it was sent from a cell phone. And so that's what they would see is the phone number that's associated with your account. If you decide to do the second way, it's sent as an email, and in that situation, it would show up as coming from an email account. So it's just a minor difference. That's the way the image comes to their phone. The second thing that the user would see different about using Twilio versus the other option is they have to choose their carrier. So if you use Twilio, they just put in their phone number. That's all. 214, etc. If they're using the second option, that's a free option, doesn't cost any money, then they put in their phone number and choose their carrier. So for doing photo to phone, two ways. Twilio, you sign up for a Twilio account. There's a link under Global Settings here to get to a Twilio account. So we're going to, if you were to authorize this, you put in your information, click authorize. It would ask you for your email, account name and all that. Text Twilio, and then it prompts you for the account, et cetera, et cetera. And there we go. You put in your email address and your password for your account, and then that information is transferred to Twilio that you've already set up your account for. Then once you do that, it would pull in all this other information for you. And then you choose from the phone numbers. You can have several if you want to that you're going to send from as well. So that's how you set up your Twilio account. But once you do that, then when you're getting ready to set it up in this screen, photo to phone, then it would automatically fill in Twilio. Okay? If you don't have a Twilio account, let me go back and delete that Twilio line so that we don't have a Twilio account. All right? So if you don't have a Twilio account, you'll see that it's blank. If you just leave it blank, then it will use your email system, your email account provider, to send those out as an email. Okay? So you still have to set up an email account, and those can be queued for sending later. You can also include a message. You're limited a little bit more in what you can send because it is going out as a text message, and that's limited to a certain number of characters and only in plain text. But you can choose the size. You can also choose a different template. So if you wanted to format the templates going to phones, in a different format to fit more nicely on your phone versus a 2x6 strip, you can do that, add a different template there as well. Then that gives you the option of sending that out in whatever size you want. So when the user is doing that, if you're using a Twilio account, they just put in their phone number, click send. It goes out. If you want to have those queued for later sending, if you're not going to have internet available at the event, then you can use the email system. And in that situation, they put in their phone number and they choose their carrier. In most cases, most people are going to remember who they send their cell phone bill, so it's not too complicated for them to choose AT&T or Sprint. That information is editable. We've included most all the common carriers, but if there's a carrier in your area that's not in our list, it's pretty simple to add it and or take out ones that aren't available in your area if you don't want to confuse people. So that gives you the option where they just put in their phone number, choose the carrier, it goes out as an email. For that, you don't have to have a live internet connection, and it's free. Twilio is not expensive. They have a fee for the purchase of the phone number, and then they have a per text message sent. I think it's a penny per message. So if you send 100 text messages, it would cost you $1 for that event. So it's not expensive, but the email system is obviously free, and also can be queued up for later sending if you don't have internet at the event. So that's how that works. Okay. Now then, let's talk a little bit about a couple of other things. I want to enable some of these, post to Facebook and email and photo to phone, and just kind of demo how those work for you. Okay, I've set up just sort of generic basic screen. There's my model again. You've seen her before if you've seen any of these webinars. We'll talk more about the big round red thing in a little bit. That's for Phidget to show you how that works. But I'm going to start a session, and you'll see the get ready, and it counts down, et cetera, et cetera. And then when it gets done with the session, this is just a single photo session, it's going to prompt us to choose what we want to send with. Would you like to send the photo to yourself by email or by phone? So if I choose phone, you can see here it prompts me for the phone number. You can just enter in the phone number. And then over here on the right-hand side, it prompts me for the carrier. You can scroll through the list if you know. Now, once you choose the carrier, you just click enter, and that will go on out based on the carrier you selected. Now, I'm going to exit out just for a second, and I'm going to go back over to that Prince queue that I spoke about earlier. So you can see that one didn't complete because I didn't complete the phone number. I only typed in the first 3 characters. So if you enter a full phone number, then it shows up in the queue and may even be gone by the time you get there to look at it. If it hangs there, then there's an error, there's a problem, and it'll tell you in that queue what that problem is. It'll say error, rejected by CERC or something like that. That gives you some indication of what you need to change or fix to help that email go out. Sometimes when testing emails, accounts and things like that, we'll take a look at people's and they'll have 25 in there, and you don't really know what's causing the problem because there's so many different ones in there. So it's best to just do one, go back and check it, see what's going on. If it has an error message, delete that one, go back and change that, correct it, and try again. So that's how that works. Okay, but you can see that you can choose how that's going to go out. Now, in that situation, I had Post to Facebook set for one that I have access rights to. Now I'm going to try it with the user Post to Facebook so you can see how that works. So let's go back through again and do another session. And 3, 2, 1, this is a single photo session, so it'll happen pretty quickly. And then when it's done, now you can see you've got email, phone, Facebook you can choose, or you can just click skip if you don't want to do any of those things. So there you have all those different options that you can pick from to send them to. If I chose Facebook, then it's going to prompt me for my username and password for Facebook. And then you can type that information in there as well. Okay? All right, let's jump back out of that. And so we've covered all of that. We covered Facebook, phone to photo to phone, and everything else. I'm going to talk just briefly about Phidgets. Phidgets, you step over here and go to their device control section. For the purpose of this particular demonstration, I'm using a Phidget board that's called 004. Phidgets, they give the model number based on how many inputs, how many outputs, and how many sensors can be plugged in. This particular board, and Phidget makes a lot of different boards. We support all of the boards that Phidget makes. Excuse me. And they make a lot of different ones depending on your application. Now this 004 has 4 heavy-duty relays that are capable of switching electrical powered devices up to 110 volt current. So that would be the most common, probably if you're going to turn on lights or something like that that gets plugged into the wall, an AC type thing. They make other ones that are low powered devices, little LEDs or something that may be powered off of your USB port. They make others that can handle really high current. Just depends on your application. You probably need to take a look at Phidget. It's called Phidgets.com. It's www.phidgets.com. That's their website. I'm going to take a second here and show you what this particular board looks like so you can see that. Give me 1 second to switch over here. Okay, there. There's a Phidget board. That's the board that I'm actually using. You can see across the top edge those green connectors. And this requires a little bit of electrical knowledge. If you're not knowledgeable in electricity, you may want to contact somebody that is, a friend or an electrician or something, especially if you're dealing with AC powered things, because you could possibly shock yourself if you're not careful. But what those little connectors are across the top row is where you would connect the wires to your device. So your lights, your fan, whatever you're going to turn on would connect to those 3. And this particular board will handle 4 devices. So those connectors across the top. The black boxes in the middle are the actual relays that do the electrically turning them on and off. At the bottom of this particular board is the USB plug that connects to your computer. Most of them look somewhat like this. They may have more or less, or more connectors, less connectors, different types of connectors, and they handle different types of outputs. If you don't match the correct one to the correct output, then you can have a problem. In other words, if you get one made for low current, DC voltage, 5-volt devices, and you connect it to an AC plug, you're going to burn something up. So you want to make sure you match it to your correct output. But for most devices, this particular one, and this is called the Interface Kit 0/0/4, because it will handle 4 devices. So that's what that's all about there. Now, let's go back to Booth, and I'll show you how you use that. Okay, now back to Darkroom Booth. So in the device control section, up at the top, you'll see your interface kit detected. You plug that in, it loads the device driver automatically. You start Darkroom, it shows up there. That you can have more than one. If 4 devices, if you're going to use this type board, and this board costs about $60, but you can have more of them if you need to switch more than 4 devices. So you can have 2 or 3. And switch different devices. Across the bottom here is the test. So once you have it all wired up, you can just check the box to turn something on or off, so you can test to see if it actually works. It works very simply for setup. Down here at the bottom, you just check the box beside what you want to, or when you want it to come on. If you've ever done sound with our Booth software, you'll recognize it. It works basically the same way. So you just check the box for when you want something to happen. So in this case, I have one set up to when I start the photo session, and I'll edit it so you can see. I've got it set to turn on all 4. Now you can change it to only turn on 1 or 2. You can choose what output you want to turn on. So if you want to turn on number 1 and turn number 2 off or something, you can choose to do all of those things. You can turn it on, off. These are all the possibilities. You can make it blink. You can make it, if it's on, turn it off. If it's off, turn it on. That's called toggle. You can do all those things. So you can just choose what you want to have happen when you want it to happen. Over here, you can choose a certain amount of time if you wanted to. So you could have it turn on for 3 seconds or blink fast for 5 seconds, something like that. That's completely up to you. I'm just doing something very simple for this demonstration, so I've just got it set to turn on when I go into Booth Mode. Now, if you look over here under the add, you can add multiple things, so you can turn on number 2 and flash number 3 or something like that. A lot of different options. But if you scroll down, you'll see that within this same system, you can also use it to execute a Booth command. So if you want to use a Phidget board that has an input, to use an arcade button, or have it come on when someone sits down on a stool that has a sensor on it. As soon as they sit down, it comes on. There's a lot of possibilities, and you can set up a lot of different things to do Booth commands as well. You can also run auto hotkey scripts if you're into programming and are knowledgeable in that area, and you want to execute some other devices or other things that are a little more elaborate. You can do that with a script. And that lets you execute auto hotkey script. You can also run an outside program. So if you wanted to have Darkroom start some sort of executable program, you can choose it there and add it. You can also have it play a sound. So if you wanted it to have, say, turn on a light and play a horn at the same time, you could do that. You could turn the sound off. You can also play a video on demand. We'll talk more about video in just a minute. But right now, got this Phidget set to come on when it starts the photo session. Now, I've also got it set to go off. This would be a common setup if you wanted to have, say, like LED lights that came on when the session started to light the picture and then go off. So this would be a common setup for that. So it would come on when they start the session, go off when the session's over. So you could set that up that way. You can see you can also go all the way down through. There's lots of possibilities. For example, you could set up a quiz where if they answer correctly, a green light lights up. If they answer incorrectly, a red light lights up. So there's lots of possibilities there. I'm going to back out of this just for a minute and go back and run a booth session so you can see. Now, here's my model again. On the right-hand side, you'll see I've got that big red light there, not on right now. Now, when I press the start button, you see the light comes on. It goes through the session, and this is a single photo session, so it won't take very long. And then once it goes through the session complete, we go to this screen. I'm going to skip that, and then we go back to the beginning after the instructions complete. You can adjust the time there. Okay, now you can see the lights off. So very simple for this particular application. The light just comes on and the light goes off at the end of the session. But you can see you could get very elaborate with all of these different options and different setups as to when things come on and off and all that. You might want to just go and browse through all of the Phidget possibilities. We do plan to increase the support for Phidgets. Right now we support all of their input-output for analog, you know, when you press this button, do this kind of things. They also make some sensors, proximity sensors, temperature sensors, things like that, that we plan to add support for in the future. So future expansion, imagine a temperature sensor inside your booth that if the camera temperature or the booth ambient temperature gets above a certain point and is overheating because it's hot outside or something, then it can send you a text message or an email to let you know that, hey, there's a problem. You need to go check on your booth. It's too hot. So those are some possibilities that we plan to add in the future with support for their sensors. Okay, let's go back to our main screen. I'm going to change to a different event right now that I've pre-set up to explain a little bit more about a couple of things with screens. One of the new features we added for Booth 2 was the take, retake, and options there. So I'm going to show you how that works. This is a screen that we have pre-set up for take photo and retake photo. These are some graphics and text that we've added, and we've just applied a take photo command, and then over here, a retake photo command. Now, here's what that does. So let's say you have the time between photos set pretty long to give people a chance to look at their picture, think about it, decide if they like it or not, and whether they want to use that picture or not. So take picture 1, picture displays on screen. Yeah, I think I like that one. Let's go on to the next one. Instead of not waiting for that 60-second time between photos to expire, they can just click take next photo. It skips all of that extra time and goes immediately to the countdown. Then takes another picture. They have a chance to decide if they like it or not. Then the same cycle repeats. So that's how that would work. Now I'm going to go through here and go back and run a session so you can see that in operation. So here's our beginning screen. Press the camera to begin. So we'll start. Get ready. The live view comes on. You can see my Phidget board is on. I get a 3, 2, 1. Takes my picture. It displays for me. I decide I don't really like that picture, so I want to take another one. So it's going to retake photo 1. Now I don't want to sit here until the next photo counts down, so I just click take photo. It starts my countdown. I take another one. Okay, I like that one. Let's move on to the next one. 3, 2, 1. I like that one. Let's move on to the next one. So you can see you can take and retake and control the booth more, giving a longer time in between for people to think about it, get into position, whatever, but not have to sit there forever. I'm going to jump out of this and go to the timing section so you can see how I have this one set up. I have a 5-second get ready delay. The get ready delay is the time before the first photo. This gives you an opportunity for the live view to come on. You can set that to a longer period of time. If you set it to a really long period of time, then the take photo would jump that time and go right to the countdown as well. Then we've got our countdown timer set for 3 seconds. I have the between photos time set for 30 seconds. You can go as long as 5 minutes, and that just gives you time to have people change props between. They could get out of the booth, go change props, get back in the booth, and then hit take photo, and it would skip that and go right to the countdown. as well. And of course, after the last photo, and the end instructions are after it's all over with. So that's how the take retake works. But let's go back and look at this screen again and talk about sound, okay? Sound, it's right here in this tab. So you click Edit Screen, Music and Sound. Just like our Phidget, you have all of these different options set up to where you can choose when a sound happens, and then you can choose the sound. So for instance, I could click right here. You could go to the sound section and choose whatever sounds you're going to use. Sounds are embedded in your screen file. So if you move it from one computer to another, you don't have to worry about moving the file. They're embedded and stay with that screen file. Now you can also play a sample so you can make sure that's the right sound.
Thank you. Your print will be ready shortly.
I hope you heard that. And so you can see how that works. You can just choose when you want things to happen. You can also do shutter sounds, etc. So let's go out and save that. I'm going to enable audio this time so that we'll hear the sounds. And I hope you can hear that. You've got some background music playing. We'll choose the button.
We're going to take more photos. Get ready. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Now let's take the next one. I'm going to drop out of that just for a minute to illustrate one thing I want you to see. When you're editing the screens and you're editing sound files, you can also set the sound volume of the background music. So in that particular situation, I thought the background music was a little too loud, so it kind of took away from the other sounds. So let's cut it back to about 80. Okay, so that's 80% of full volume. All right, well, let's try that one now and see how that sounds. Now you can hopefully tell that the sound is much lower now.
Welcome.
And we can hear the audio prompts much better. So you can see you can adjust the background sound in relationship to the foreground sounds, the prompts and things. So you can have all those different prompts. Now let's go along with that and let's add a video in. So I'm going to go back to my my screen over here, and I want to add this during. So I click Edit, and the video I'm going to add, go down here to Video, and what I want to add this time is, I'm going to delete that so I can re-add it. I already had it in there. Okay, let's choose Video, and we're going to browse. Here's a Shutter video that I've got already set up for this purpose. Now you can choose video can be skipped if they don't want to watch it. You can also choose a couple of options depending on whether the video would play full screen or et cetera. The reason you might want to skip a video is you could use a video for a survey. For instance, you could have a short video, 20, 30 seconds or something, and then ask them questions about it. And or you could have an intro video where the little character jumps out and gives them instructions or something, things like that. If you did the booth 3 or 4 times in a night, that might get a little tiring and annoying to sit through that, so they can just click skip if you want to allow them to do that. So let's choose that and click OK, and I'm going to go back and run another session, and this time we'll see our video.
Take more photos. Get ready. 3, 2, 1.
And there you can see the little video played of the shutter. And you can use that in a lot of creative ways, depending on if you want to have a video at the end telling them what to do, get out of the booth and get your photos or something like that. So you can add a video in a lot of different ways by doing that. For instance, like the commercial, so to speak, at the beginning, and then let them answer questions about it or something like that. So that's a possibility. So video can be applied in a lot of different ways. Okay, we've talked about sound, we've talked about video, we've talked about Phidget support and all those different options there. I think we covered most everything in this particular option that we had planned to. I hope everybody understood all of that, and we'll be doing some more webinars later on. Some of the possible topics that we plan to touch on are more details about screen design and print template design and things like that. So we're going to be doing these pretty often, and this one will also be available for viewing afterwards on our YouTube channel. Hope you had a great day. Go out and enjoy your booth and play around, get you a Phidget and play with it. Have a good day.